The Epstein cover-up didn't suddenly begin last year. This has been in motion for a very long time. Donald Trump has been working around this issue for more than a decade, dating all the way back to the earliest phase of his political rise. That's exactly why his first term matters so much when trying to understand what's actually happening now. And at this moment, we're seeing fresh text messages surface that don't just highlight how closely Trump and Epstein were connected during that period. They also point toward a rumored relationship between Trump and a White House staffer. This missing context is finally coming into view, and it's emerging in ways most people didn't expect. At the same time, what's becoming obvious is how shockingly bad this administration has been at shielding Trump. That incompetence is precisely why information like this keeps leaking out. That's why we're going to take a closer look at that alleged affair and explain why these messages matter so much. But first, it's important to understand just how poorly this entire cover-up has been managed. One article spells it out clearly. The DOJ made a strange move by attempting to censor Trump's face in a photo tied to the Epstein files. The Justice Department is now under renewed scrutiny after releasing Epstein-related documents that appear to intentionally block out Donald Trump's face in a photograph. Just last week, the Trump administration released roughly 3 million pages of Justice Department records connected to the long-running Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Among those newly released materials was a 2019 text exchange between Epstein and Steve Bannon, a former top Trump advisor, which included an image of Trump speaking at an event. In that image, Trump's face is noticeably hidden behind a black redaction box. What makes this even more bizarre is that Epstein didn't even take the photo. It was simply a stock image pulled from a Politico article. And yet, because the White House has chosen to black out every appearance of Trump, even this non-criminal image was censored. It's literally just a picture of Donald Trump, and they still covered his face. The administration has consistently treated Trump's presence in the Epstein files as a political landmine. Even though Trump allies promised full transparency during the 2024 campaign, the White House later reversed course, fueling speculation that the records contain either politically damaging or legally troubling information. That suspicion only grew stronger in December, when the Justice Department briefly uploaded, then quickly removed, a photograph from Epstein's New York mansion that showed an image of Trump with several young women tucked inside a drawer. Questions around transparency surfaced again this week after officials admitted that only about half of the Epstein records collected by the government have actually been released. The White House literally blacked out an image of Trump that had nothing to do with Epstein and wasn't criminal in any way. It strongly suggests they're using facial recognition software to redact him wherever he appears. That's insane, and it's an even more disturbing admission of how far they're willing to go. But somehow, what Todd Blanche has been saying about this investigation is even worse. And this is exactly why I keep returning to Trump's first term, because that's where the real story lives. He says no documents are being held back, that only a small number were delayed due to a protective order, and that the review is now complete. He claims they reviewed more than 6 million pages, thousands of videos, and tens of thousands of images, as required by law, and then he basically says they're not pursuing anyone. Case closed. But what case exactly? What have we actually learned? What's new? Who is being held accountable? This is what I keep pointing out. Donald Trump, one of the most narcissistic people alive, isn't just protecting himself, he's protecting everyone named in those Epstein files. Because he knows that if people start talking, it's over for him. Trump wants the public to believe Epstein's circle was small. He keeps pushing the idea that it was just a handful of people casually crossing paths in Palm Beach. He wants you to think Epstein had a few associates who maybe did some questionable things. What he doesn't want is for people to see this as a massive criminal network or a much larger trafficking operation. And more importantly, he doesn't want anyone connecting Epstein to his first administration, because once you do that, you might start asking how Epstein knew about a rumored affair happening inside Trump's own White House. Epstein hinted that Trump spent the 2018 holiday away from his family with his mistress. Epstein, who once bragged about being Trump's closest friend for a decade, suggested in 2019 that Trump skipped time with his family during the 2018 holiday to be with Moline Westerhout, his personal secretary at the time. Newly released text messages show that Trump, now 79, was accused last year of having an affair with Westerhout, who was 35. Westerhout has strongly denied the accusation, calling it absurd, after the Justice Department released around 3.5 million Epstein files. However, a text exchange between Epstein and Steve Bannon suggests Epstein was aware of the rumor long before it became public. In a January 1, 2019 text, Epstein wrote to Bannon that staying away from family during the holidays was a major red flag. Bannon replied that it was a big tell. Epstein responded, "That's for Moline," followed by a smiley face emoji. Bannon reacted with surprise, seemingly unaware of the rumor. Epstein then told him to wake up, and Bannon replied with a quote attributed to Trump, saying, "She has a way about her." The allegations trace back to a 2019 email from author and Trump biographer Michael Wolff to Epstein, suggesting Trump was infatuated with Westerhout during the government shutdown, choosing to remain at the White House rather than go to Mar-a-Lago with his family. Trump has never publicly addressed the rumors, and aside from Wolff's email and the Epstein-Bannon texts, there's no direct evidence confirming the affair. What stands out most to me is how deeply Epstein wanted to stay connected to Trump's first term, how much he wanted to be involved, and how often he talked about how afraid that made Trump. Remember the email where Bannon suggested Epstein might be in someone's sights, possibly the Trump administration itself, and Epstein replied that Trump wakes up sweating, worried about how close Epstein and Bannon had become. There's a clear pattern linking Epstein to Trump's inner circle that keeps resurfacing. Business associates, campaign supporters, they all seem to have Epstein connections. Howard Lutnick claimed he never spent time with Epstein, yet later it was revealed he accepted money from Epstein for an event he hosted. That's still a connection, and it's not unreasonable to notice how tech billionaires began clustering around Trump right before he gained the power to keep names out of those files. Elon Musk was openly trying to spend time with Epstein back in 2013. Is it really crazy to observe how institutional power suddenly shifted in Trump's favor? We've watched powerful elites who once criticized Trump go completely silent. And where this becomes most disturbing is the media. The lack of serious coverage, the refusal to ask hard questions, the way these files are framed. There's no better example than Kristen Welker questioning Mike Johnson about the latest release. His answer was bad. Her question was worse. She emphasized that appearing in Epstein's files doesn't imply criminal wrongdoing and asked whether Johnson had concerns about Trump's relationship with Epstein. Johnson said he didn't, claiming Trump had been open and that Trump was one of the first to call Epstein out. Before getting deeper into that exchange, there's something else that needs to be addressed. Right-wing commentators are now pushing a false narrative connecting Zoran Mamdani to Epstein, even though his mother was mentioned in the files before he was even born. They've gone as far as creating fake AI images. They don't care about truth, victims, or children. This is entertainment to them, political theater, and that same attitude is obvious in Mike Johnson's response. That's why it's so disturbing that Kristen Welker gave him so much leeway. Yes, being mentioned once doesn't mean you committed crimes, but what if someone appears hundreds of times, attended the parties, visited the island, sent messages talking about wild nights and new girls in town? Why do we keep bending over backwards to protect the most powerful people on the planet? Why does the media instinctively shield them? These men don't need protection, they already have it. Elon Musk doesn't need the benefit of the doubt. We already know who he is. And the idea that he just casually crossed paths with Epstein is false. He was actively trying to get closer. So I'm done accepting the media's framing. We're calling it out every single day. If you support that, subscribe to National Affairs Media and hit like. If you made it to the end and this connected with you, drop a blue heart in the comments. Let me know you're here. Keep pushing back. Don't let them silence you. Until next time, I'll see you.